you the greatest, so you pay your bills but you barely made it. That it's all on your shoulders and everything will seem clear if you stay sober. That your heart is really in it when you know most these folks ain't impressed with your vision. That this pep talk will keep you in top form when so many fail off. That the world feels your pain, it's kill or be killed. Can you keep what you claim?
What's up, peeps? Julian Williams here at the distance. Got a video for you guys. This is a post-fight to the bout between Erik Morales versus Danny Garcia. Bout just ended in a decision in favor of Danny Garcia. My prediction was for Danny Garcia to win this by a split decision. So pretty much over the last couple of days, I've been on many debates regarding this fight. Many debating whether or not, and brought up a lot of logical reasons to why they thought that Erik Morales would win. And a few people, on, why Garcia would possibly win. And of course, looking at the fight, it was one of those bouts to where pretty much there's just a lot of questions in the fight, just because Erik Morales was coming off of gallbladder surgery. Then he didn't make the weight of 140 pounds, lost the belt to scale, and just to be honest with you guys, my original prediction about 3 weeks ago was for Erik Morales to win it by a knockout. Then by the time I did my prediction, I just said, I think Danny Garcia is going to win. But enough about me and enough about the debates regarding this fight. Let's get on to the fight. I didn't necessarily score this fight. I was just watching this fight as a fan, and not to get into any technical analysis about this one, but just judging and looking at the fight. Early in the fight, it did take a little while for Danny Garcia to find his rhythm, especially against Erik Morales. I believe when he felt that first right hand, that overhand right that he was trying to land, I think that's what made Garcia think a little bit more before, he got comfortable in the fight. Because if you get comfortable too early, of course, Morales is going to try to throw that right hand over the jab. So, of course, Danny Garcia got in his comfort zone. And after he got in the comfort zone, he came in and he took control of the fight. And believe it or not, I do think that he was hitting Morales on the hip a couple times. And then, of course, he did hit him on the break. But at the same time, Danny Garcia fought a very disciplined and smart fight, very strategic. He didn't go all out against Erik Morales, and he didn't tee off on him. He had a lot of moments to where especially the announcers thought he should have teed off on him. But he was very judicious and very patient with his punches and took his time. And it did have its moments to where it didn't benefit him that well, because Morales would be able to counter him or throw a few shots. But just throughout the last 8 rounds of the fight, the last 7 rounds of the fight, Garcia just took control of the fight and outworked Morales. Came in behind his jab, started, when Morales was through, he would come back with his combinations. I think the punch stats were 170 to 70, and that should just explain it all. A lot of those punches were jabs, and some of them were punches to the body, most of the time. And then in the 11th round, looked like the tide was changing, and the momentum was changing, and just all of a sudden, a perfectly timed left hook from Danny Garcia put Morales down. And if Garcia had a little more energy, he probably could have taken Morales out. But Morales is a smart fighter, and he does know how to turn his body and put his body into a direction to where it's hard to where it's hard to hit him. And the shot on the break gave Morales a lot more time to kind of recuperate, and gave him a little more give him a little more energy to where he was able to end the round on his feet. But also Garcia wasn't in the best of shape neither. His nose started to bleed in round 10, and then his mouth began bleeding in round 11. So just overall, it seemed as if in round 10 the tide began to kind of change. But then after that knockdown, the tide changed for good. The momentum went back into favor of Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia is the new WBC light welterweight champion. Nothing else could be said. On the other hand, El Terrible, Erik Morales, I think, to be honest with you, Erik Morales stood in there with a young, hungry lion in this fight. He stood in there with a young, hungry lion. and kind of competed with him a bit. You know, he made the young fighter think as much as he was. And the thing about Erik Morales is he has the ability to just outthink fighters, outthink his opponents, and beat them just based on boxing intellect. The man's been in the ring since he was 5 years old. Not only has he been in the ring since he was 5 years old, he's a four-time. He's won about 7 titles in 4 weight divisions, and has fought some of the best fighters throughout these divisions throughout this time. The Paulie Ayelas, Julio Espada Jr., Daniel Saragota, Manny Pacquiao, the trilogy with him, and the trilogy with Marco Antonio Barrera. He's been in a lot of great fights, and not to mention the Maidana fight last year. Whether it's money, whether he's still fighting for his legacy, he came back, he won a 4th championship, even though he was stripped of Timothy Bradley. But I just think that it's time to call it a day for Erik Morales. He has nothing left to prove. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's done whatever he's needed to do in the sport. And if he moves up to 147, he's pretty much a man without a weight division. If he can't make the 140 anymore. But I would love to see Erik Morales in one more fight, in just one last fight, and not against Juan Manuel Marquez. It could be against, some bum off the street, whatever. People are gonna line up to go see that fight. But the thing is, I think Erik Morales I think he should just end his career, pretty much with a victory. Being the legend that he is, and providing us with a lot of the great fights that we've seen over the last 20 years that we have seen from Erik Morales. Specifically, for most of us, the fights that we've seen on HBO, of course. So anyway, peeps, that was The Distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.
JD, beats, wanna know, SVV.